Hey guys, Mr. Mari here with another tutorial for you. Today we're going to be taking a look at how we can take our Robotron style game, which currently only has a single frame, and when we go into that frame we can see we have a single level for our character to run around in, and how we can make it so we can have multiple levels without having to worry about having only the 3-frame limit that the free version of Clickteam Fusion gives us. See, we usually like to use our frames to have the first frame be a title screen, our second frame to be our gameplay screen, and then the third frame to be like our end screen, you know, whether you win or lose. And so we don't really have a lot of space with the free version to be able to create multiple levels, except I'm going to show you a way, specifically for this type of single screen game, how we can use the way the game viewport works to make multiple levels. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go back to our storyboard editor here, where it shows us our frames. Now, by default, it's 640 by 480. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to triple that number. So we're going to take 640 times it by 3, and that's going to go ahead and give us 1920. So we're going to make that 1920. And then we're going to take 480 and do the same thing. 480 times 3, of course, will give us 1440. Now this is going to give us a considerably larger area to work with. So this gives us a lot more space to work with, and what we can do is we can use the walls we've created here for our first level and use them really to create our second level. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the top wall that I've created, I'm going to clone it. Now the reason we're cloning it is because we are going to be changing the color of it so that we can know that we're on a new level. So I'm going to move that over, I'm going to double click on it. In my sprite editor, I'm going to use my paint bucket, I'm going to pick a color, and this one I'm going to go with red, and we're going to fill that in with red. So now that we have a nice different color wall. Now since the top and bottom are going to be the same, I can go ahead and duplicate that so I don't have to take up more space creating a new sprite. Now we need to do the same thing for the left and right walls. We're going to come over here, we're going to clone it, put it over here, double click in, use our paint bucket tool, make it red, and then we can duplicate that one. So now we've gone ahead and we've created a new level. Now the question is, how do we get our character to go over there? Well, first things first, we have to have some sort of event that happens that brings us to our second level. So when I run my game, the viewport for the game keeps us in this same area. And the only thing I can really keep track of is how many enemies that I've taken care of, right? So right now, I've killed all 3 enemies, but I haven't gone on to my next level. So what we need to do is we need to keep track of how many enemies I've taken care of, and once the game knows, oh, you've taken care of all the enemies in this level, it can move you to the next level. So let's go to our code and see how we do that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to insert a score. So we right click and we hit insert and we find score. I'm going to stick it right there in the top left corner. This will always be in the top left corner wherever the middle of the frame is. So it'll follow you from level to level. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my code. We're going to find the code where it's the collision between the shot and the enemy. And I'm going to go ahead and we're not going to go to the score column. I know this is kind of counterintuitive, but we're going to go to the column for player 1. And we're going to find the area that says score, and we're going to add to score. And we're going to add 1 to score for every time one of these blocks hits the enemy. Now we're also going to make sure at the start of the frame that we also set our score to 0. So that way every time we start the game, we start with, have it set to 0, and we can start brand new. So let's take a look. If I run it, you can see that I have my score. I can go ahead and I get points. So now what I want to do is I want to set it so when I hit a certain amount of points, it moves me to the next level. So I go back to my conditions here and I create a new condition. And I go to the player 1 section. And there's an option here that says compare to player's score. So we're going to compare the player's score. Now we want to make it equal to. So equal to or greater or, I'm going to say greater or equal. So So if my score is greater or equal to a certain number, I'm going to say 3. So if my score is greater than or equal to 3, what I want to have happen is I want the viewport, the actual camera of the game, to follow to this next level. So the way we do that is we go into our storyboard controls and we right click and we go to scrollings. Now before, we've used scrollings as a way to like have the game smoothly move with us. We're not going to do that here. What we're going to do is we are going to go to center window position and frame like we've done before, but instead of using the relative to button, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this little box here, I'm going to put it in the center of my new level. Then I'm going to hit OK. So now it should be that when there's a collision between my shot and the enemy, my score is going to go up by 1. And it should be that when my score is greater than or equal to 3, it's going to center the display of the game from where it is over to this new area. So let's test that out and see how that works. And look at that, it moved me over to the next area. Well, it moved the center of the frame. Well, notice that my player character is not there. So we need to fix that in our code as well. The good news is we know that the code works. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to say, again, when the score of player 1 is greater than or equal to 3, I'm going to go to my player. I'm going to go to position, and we're going to select the position. And it's the same thing as we did with moving the camera. We just move that box into the center of the frame and hit OK. Okay, so now with our event set up this way, we have a score that's greater than or equal to 3 should move the center of my display over to this new spot, and also move the active object that represents the player over to that spot as well. So we're going to run the game. We're going to see how that works. So I hit the frame. I'm moving around, no problem. I'm shooting. I get a score of 3, and there we go. My frame has changed, and my player has moved. The problem is, as you can see, I can't move my character. So when we look at our code, it's obvious to see why it's happening, because my score is greater than or equal to 3. So I'm going to keep being put back at that position. So it won't let me move off that position. But that's okay. There's an easy fix to this. What we want to do is we want this event to happen and then never happen again. We don't want this event to ever happen again. We want it to happen once and no more. So the nice thing is we can do that. We can add what's called a limiter to this. So what we're going to do is we're going to right click on our event that we already have, and we're going to go and say insert, because we're going to put something new. You're going to go to the special area. That's the one that looks like, you know, 2 gears. When you click on it, you'll have the option to limit conditions, and you'll see one of the options is run this event once. So when I click it, now when my score is greater than or equal to 3, it once will center the display and center the active object that's the player. So let's try this out, see if it works. So everything starts out fine. I'm shooting, I get my score of 3, and there we go. And I can move no problem, I can shoot no problem. So that's how we use the limiter command to make sure that specific things only happen once. So that's how we can create multiple levels. Just as I did this, you can then set your score to say 5 or 10, and that'll move you to another one that you've made. And you can fill out this area with up to 3 going across, I believe, and 3 going down. I believe that was the math I did, is you can go into your frame and we can fit 1 more level there, and I can fit 1, 2, 3 levels going down this way. So we have a 3x3 here, which means we can do up to 9 levels on this one frame, which is not bad considering what we're usually used to being able to do here. So I hope this was useful for you guys. That's how you can create multiple levels using just 1 frame for our Robotron style game. I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video.